It is a pleasure to be able to bring this bill to the House. It is one that we all know, I think, from our constituents, whether you live in a town, a city, a village, that our constituents are fed up with nuisance, loud fireworks. This isn't something that just happens once or twice a year anymore. This is something that plagues our constituents' nights almost every night, particularly in places like Luton North. And I want to start by thanking the co-sponsors of this bill, my honourable friend from Peterborough and from Newport East, but also a really big supporter of this bill was the member from Glasgow South West. And we have had wide support for this bill because we know of the impact that this has on people's lives. I've heard consistently now from hundreds of constituents across Luton North over the last 5 years. And to put it into context, this isn't just something that affects people with pets or the elderly. I was at Parkley Primary School last week and I spoke to students there, and every single one of them said by fireworks. This is having a detrimental impact on not just our environment, not just on people's mental health, but also on education as well. And groups across Luton North and the country reported that this year was possibly the worst for fireworks, in terms of the loudness, in terms of the frequency, and also in terms of the antisocial use of them, using them as almost a weapon in some communities. So what's the problem? Under current laws, any adult is able to purchase fireworks that can make noise of up to 120 decibels. Now, I'm loud, but that is as loud as a rock concert. And any member of public can go ahead and buy something that loud. Yes, I will.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. She's making a wonderful start to her speech, and may I congratulate her on the second bite of the cherry, Madam Deputy Speaker. This is the second time with this private member's bill. The honourable member spoke about education and also the loudness, etc. Would she agree with me that this has a particularly bad and detrimental impact on those who are suffering from neurodiverse conditions?
I thank my honourable friend for that intervention, and absolutely, I have parents with children with special educational needs, and particularly for non-verbal autistic children and young people, this is particularly distressing in the middle of the night, and being able to calm loved ones down is really difficult. They did say that it's the sporadic nature of these fireworks which is causing distress, where they cannot plan in advance, where they cannot prepare young people and neurodiverse people for this barrage of noise. I will give way.
I'm very grateful to the honourable member for giving way, and can I congratulate her again for bringing forward this important piece of legislation. As she's talking about, the uncontrolled use of fireworks is very distressing and causes distress and injury to people. But as a veterinary surgeon, I've seen firsthand the impacts on this on animals, both large and small, in terms of cowering pets, pets that go missing, but then also farm animal livestock or horses that bolt and cause themselves horrific injuries. So I congratulate her, and does she agree more needs to be done to get more regulation and control so people can actually protect themselves and animals?
I wholeheartedly agree with the honourable member, and he brings his extreme experience as a vet with animals to this bill, and he did indeed support the previous iterations of this bill for exactly the same reasons as he's outlined. We have heard reports from the Kennel Club that 81% increases in dogs going missing during fireworks use, and it changes their behaviour. The guide dogs also that I've spoken to. Now, some of the fireworks lobby have said, well, you need to train your pets better, you need to train your dogs better. You can't get better trained than a guide dog. And yet I spoke to guide dog users, and they told me that it impacts them so much that they cannot go outside during when fireworks are going off. And I will, in just a short moment, as has been alluded to, this is the second bite of the cherry. We know enforcement is so difficult. Where police numbers have been cut to the bone, we know that they are limited in their powers. This is why this bill focuses on licensings and sales alone.
Honourable friend, give way.
I will give way.
Thank you, my honourable friend, for giving way, and again, like everyone else, congratulate her on putting this bill forward. Could I ask my honourable friend, would she be surprised to know that this is one of the biggest issues that comes into my casework box, whether it's in surgeries or emails, with over 750 people contacting me since the election. Can I just ask if you know, alongside the animals and children and people with neurodiverse visions, I've also been contacted by a number of veterans and others who, again, are traumatised or woken up, or it causes more problems. So on all of these grounds, would you agree her bill is absolutely necessary at this stage?
I thank my honourable friend, and he's absolutely right. This really impacts veterans and people with PTSD and mental health issues, which is why I am proud that this bill has been supported by Combat Stress, Help for Heroes, and from an animals perspective, from the RSPCA, Dogs Trust, Red Wings and the Kennel Club. You couldn't get a more diverse group there of organisations and charities that are saying it's time now to limit the level of the loudest fireworks. I will give way.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and it's absolutely clear that eventually there will be action in this area, and when that happens, she will take great credit for that when it does happen. In recent weeks, I've spoken to a police officer who was injured in my constituency last year. Along with the member from Luton North, I was introduced to a man whose mother was killed when a firework was put through a letterbox. And more recently, a senior police officer in my constituency asked that the government takes action to control the import and sale of these fireworks. Does the honourable member agree with me that it's very clear that action is needed, and the government should ask itself whether or not it wants to be proactive or end up reacting to events?
My honourable friend for that, and he highlights perfectly the seriousness of this. When explosives such as F3 fireworks get into the wrong hands and are used for criminal ends, it has horrendous and life-changing and sometimes life-altering and taking consequences. And that is why I want to see that perverse loophole that allows unlicensed sellers to sell fireworks to members of the public at certain periods of the year, around Diwali, around New Year's. I'm just going to make a little bit of progress on this one, around the times when actually we want fireworks the most. Unlicensed pop-up shops appear, and these are explosives that should be handled by licensed sellers and should be only sold to members of the public at the lowest and safest levels. I will give way.
Thank you, and I thank the honourable lady for bringing this forward again. Would you agree with my constituent Hayley from Adel, who has been calling on this movement since before the election, to say that actually the balance has now got completely out of kilter? We hear all of these devastating impacts, whether it's from wildlife, and I know the tragic case of Roxy at the Edinburgh Zoo that we all have heard about many times, and the social impacts, and we talk about the neurodiversity. And there is the ability to manage this now, whether it's with restrictions or bringing down the decibel level, to have that balance of joy in much more effective towards our communities.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I thank the honourable member for her intervention. There are also alternatives to very loud fireworks, which are incredibly cool, and the general public really like them. A YouGov survey recently said that drones would be more popular than fireworks in the UK, and we've seen some fantastic drone displays. There are also low-noise fireworks, but the general public at the moment still don't know quite what they're buying. I hazard a guess many people, until they became as nerdy as me about fireworks, wouldn't know the difference between an F2 and an F3 firework. This is something that we need to enable and encourage and educate responsible members of the public to what they are buying and the alternatives out there. And I would say to the fireworks lobby as well that there's a challenge here. They need to diversify. There's a hunger from the public and from consumers for quieter fireworks and for increased technology around drones as well. I think that we need to now see change here because the public are behind us.
Order. Second reading what day?
April the 25th, Madam Deputy Speaker.
April the 25th.